Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Haley and I'm going over part 2 of the shadow state of the fourth gene key in Universal Panacea. The shadow is intolerance. So if you haven't watched part 1 to this video, I do recommend backtracking a bit, pausing this and watching part 1 because this is a direct continuation of that video. And yeah, also yesterday's video kind of ended abruptly because something happened and then I just thought, you know what, I'll just continue it tomorrow. So, welcome to part 2. Hopping right in here. Richard Rudd has a statement that says, the human logical mind is actually not designed to take sides. Okay, so in part 1, we talked about how the mind is meant to be utilized to serve the heart, to serve a higher purpose, to serve others, and to serve yourself. However, the current state we're living in, the mind is using us. We're not using the mind, right? The mind is constantly coming at us with all these ill thoughts, programs, and arguments that are fighting for a purpose that's purely from a standpoint of service to self and ego. And he says here, the mind is actually not designed to take sides. It's actually not meant to be using us to making laundry lists of why we should be doing certain things or achieving certain goals. The mind is meant to be this open chasm that is receptive to all viewpoints, all options, all timelines. The mind is meant to be flowing, not so regimented and structured. It's not meant to be so dualistic. Okay, so if it's not meant to take sides and be dualistic, that means it's meant to be one, whole, union. It's meant to be completely present. Once again, the purpose of the mind is to analyze this present moment, record details so that you can understand and communicate. We went over that in the last video. Because communication is fundamental to all human relationship. Whether that's the relationship with yourself, nature, environment, outside, food, people, places, things, experiences. So just something interesting to note. The human mind is not meant to take sides. Oh, so I'm meant to be present. I'm meant to be open. And it's the awareness of the way things are meant to be that in turn creates the allowance for this to come into fruition. Oh, I'm allowed to be open. Oops. And chill and relaxed. It's a very freeing standpoint. The truth is so freeing. The truth sets you free. That's a common cliche. Also true. The cheese is always true. And he says here, even science is rarely truly objective unless it remains open to all counter-arguments. And how often does science remain truly open to all counter-arguments? It's funny because the scientist, you know, the true definition of a scientist is someone who's curious and explorative and wants to know answers. Curiosity implies openness to evolving the current state of awareness that you have, the current answer that you have, the current resolve that you have, yet most of our science is, like he says, rarely truly objective. I think most of our common day science boasts curiosity but doesn't truly understand curiosity, because if it was truly understood, it would be demonstrated through action, through openness, which would, in my opinion, look like looking more into quantum physics and deciding to retire Newtonian ways of thinking and, you know, biology rooted in Darwinism because it's kind of a bit outdated. That's a whole tangent in itself. Nonetheless, I just think it's interesting that here he notes that even science is rarely truly objective. And if it were to be, it would need to remain open to all counter arguments. It would need to embody the true state of the human logical mind, which is not designed to take sides, which is meant to remain open, to remain curious, to remain present. Oh, a wasp just flew under me. That's nice. Hopefully he doesn't sting me. He can sense my vibes. But once again, we're in this shadow state, right? And when you're in the frequency of the shadow of intolerance, these human mental structures are kind of out of homeostasis, and therefore an individual can't help but take sides, argue, fragment conversations. And this comes off as very defensive, right? All arguments require kind of an offensive or a defensive standpoint. And so I just made a note here that essentially the shadow of intolerance is built upon the ego's prideful preference of sides, of dualism, offense, defense. Once again, this inability to put down your current way of thinking and be open and truly curious to seeing the other side of the argument, or the other sides of the argument. Sometimes it's not even just two-sided, right? Being willing to acknowledge that it's not so black and white. There's actually many shades of gray, infinite shades of gray in between and all around. I love this sentence. He says, if you took the time to examine the other side of the argument, you would immediately understand that your opinion is rooted in a deep-seated emotional fear of something. All pride is rooted in a deep-seated emotional fear of something. Well, no, this has to be right, because if it's not, then the way I currently see reality, live my life, and behave is going to crumble. And the ego knows this, right? Which is why we have our own opinions and our own judgments. And I guess something I'll just add here is it's not bad to have discernment about something. You know, there's a big difference between judgment and discernment. Judgment is assessing the situation, choosing a side. Oh, I'm right and you're wrong. It's kind of this energy. Whereas discernment is assessing the situation. Oh wow, this wasp is really close to me. Discernment is assessing the situation. Okay, I see my options. I'm currently on this side of the fence, but I could see myself going over there, and then you take a little trip over here. Oh, okay, I see that side of the fence where I used to be. That's nice. And then from the standpoint of holistically viewing all the options, choosing consciously where to sit, and acknowledging that the other side is not bad, is not wrong, it's just not for you. It's just not what's resonating. So there's a very big difference in energy level between the energies of discernment and judgment. And this is something I like to allow myself to have, because otherwise you get lost in the free flow sauce of just never having an opinion and being a potato. It's good to be discerning and just stay open to the fact that your own point of resonance can change based off observing all the other options. Quick contemplation here for whoever's watching. Where in my life am I being judgmental? I'm right, you're wrong, ew. Ugh, I could never. And where in your life are you being discerning? Are you viewing all the options and choosing of your own free, peaceful will to choose what you have chosen? Where essentially can you graduate from this lower energy of judgment into a higher frequency of discernment? I like this. He points out why people argue here. He says, arguments make people feel a certain mental solidity. It gives us this illusion of trust when we argue. We feel on top, we feel right, we feel justified. Therefore, we feel protected and safe. But this is an illusion. Mental assuredness cannot make the body feel safe. The body can only feel safe when it surrenders to the moment without wanting something else. Once again, that is a huge statement. All I know is that when I read that out loud, it made my heart smile and it provided me relief. The body can only feel safe when it surrenders to the moment without wanting something else. Well, thank God. I know how to do that. I can surrender to this now moment and not want anything else. I can be completely content with what's occurring right now. Oh, and that's my only job? That's the only way to safety? Cool. My only job is to chill. And once again, it's really coming into this gnosis that allows you to embody it. You have to choose to want to surrender. You have to choose to want the truth. And oftentimes, our ego's choosing to want to argue. It likes the game. It likes the illusion. You have to choose to want to step out of that and into surrender in order to take the easiest path to feeling safe in the body. And in my opinion, we have all of eternity to make this choice. Every moment we have the chance to make this choice. Which is something interesting to think about. No rush, like you can make the choice whenever. Or you can unmake the choice and make it again. And this will directly correlate to your own level of suffering. Whether you choose to live in truth or illusion. But even this, I want to just emphasize, there's no judgment whether you make the choice to live in truth or make the choice to feel your ego and live in illusion. Because you got all of eternity to do it. And it's, again, not that one's right or wrong, it's just pick your adventure. And from my own standpoint, when I've tasted, the few times I've tasted, really tasted the body feeling safe, trusting the moment, surrendering to the moment, accepting the moment, man, it's just so much easier that I, of my own free will, want to keep choosing it. And, obviously the subliminal programming within the subconscious mind has me choose otherwise sometimes, a path of ego or fragmentation or argumentation. But eventually this awareness grows, and I remember how good it feels in my body to choose surrender. And so I keep making that choice more often. So I have found personally that it's an upward spiral with the occasional unwinding. He gives a brief prelude here to the gift state, which we will get into in the next video, the gift of understanding. And he says, understanding, as we shall see, only comes when you realize that your mind can never truly understand anything. Well, can't argue with that. I just like that. Once again, a little truth bomb that provides relief to the heart space. It makes the body feel safe. Can never truly understand anything. Because once again, the human logical mind is not designed to take sides. It's designed to remain open. To understand something would be to capture it, to limit it, to put it into a box. You've just undone the nature of unlimitedness, of openness of the human logical mind. I mean, this is a dog chasing its tail, even trying to talk about or describe this over video. Because once again, I'm trying to use the confines of the human language, human English language, to describe this nature of unlimitedness within the human logical mind. So I'm just going to reread that little truth bomb again. And I think this is a great sentence to meditate upon, personally. Understanding, as we shall see, only comes when you realize that your mind can never truly understand anything. and this brings lasting peace. He calls intolerance an internal misunderstanding. Oof. That's pretty rough. Eternal misunderstanding. That means it never ends. The last part of this chapter, he goes over the repressive nature and the reactive nature of intolerance. The repressive nature being apathy and the reactive nature being nitpicking. Once again, these states are not necessarily mutually exclusive. I've had points in life where I struggle with both. I take turns with both. I tango with both. So, yeah, it's very interesting to read about this. The repressive nature of apathy, he says, is, he first defines what an apathetic mind is. An apathetic mind, he says, is a collapsed mind that is no longer bright or intelligent, but is given up on understanding anything. It's sunk into a kind of mental lethargy. I like his definition. And before I read his definition, I just contemplated what I personally think of apathy as. And to me, yeah, it's a very just low energy state of what's the point? It's very depressive, actually. It's a lack of energy. It's a depression, not an anxiety. It's a downward spiral. Given up on understanding anything. It's a what's the point? It's very, very different than surrendering the need to understand. Surrendering the need to understand is freeing, is peaceful, is whereas apathy is what's the point? And it's this like energy. And he points out that these people are secretly paralyzed by unconscious fear, which is another way to describe depression. Paralyzed by unconscious fear. You can't even get out of bed. What's the point? What's the point of going to work? What's the point of getting coffee with a friend? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? And, I don't know if I've said this in another video about how unconscious fear is the drive of depression. And so he talks about how these people who struggle with the repressive nature of intolerance, as manifested as apathy, can have problems in motivation and with their health. And I like how he adds at the end here a very key sentence. He says, to escape apathy, it's simple. Just one thing, he says, you have to start thinking again. Start using this again. But, there's a caveat, without letting their thinking rule their lives. So going back to the analogy of using the mind, not allowing the mind to use you. Not allowing thoughts to just torment you. And once again, the technique that I personally most resonate with is meditation, becoming aware of the thoughts, so that you cannot allow the mind's thoughts to torment you and therefore drive your actions and drive your behaviors. I personally think meditation is a great tool to start to regain autonomy over the mind, use the mind, start thinking again, and escape apathy. These wasps are everywhere, but they haven't bit me. Oh man. Okay, I'm almost done with this, so we're good. So yes, start thinking again. Simple, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Another raw truth, raw cliche. And then the reactive nature of the shadow of intolerance being nitpicking. Everything has to be so specific It projects out its eternal need for answers to questions. Okay, so personally, I read this and I was like, yeah, that sounds like me. I'm perhaps too curious for my own good. But again, not true curiosity, because true curiosity is chill, surrendered, and open. This energy of nitpicking. Oh God, I gotta move. This thing's freaking me out. Okay. We're gonna move here. Away from the wasp's nest. But yes, as I was saying, true curiosity is open, surrendered, relaxed, whereas this energy of nitpicking is curiosity disguised in a lower vibrational form. It needs answers. It's hungry for answers. It can't relax until it has an answer. Whereas once again, curiosity it's always chilling, but it does want answers. Nitpicking is a little frantic and anxiety filled. It needs answers to feel safe, whereas the state of surrender and true curiosity knows its eternal safety is untouched and is still remaining open to expansion. They cannot let go of their need for feeling some sort of resolution to make their mind feel satiated. They're endlessly disappointed. They're endlessly hungry for more answers. There's always something wrong. There's always something to pick out. And he says here, the fix for these people in this reactive nature is to let go of the hope that their mind can ever bring them solace. They need to surrender. Find a new awareness arising in them out of their mind. Once again, my favorite way to raise awareness is meditation. But there's also so many other ways to raise awareness. And I think, again, another beautiful truth is that the best way to really escape any shadow state is to simply raise your awareness. It's that simple. Raise your presence. Raise your be here nowness. Use your 5 senses. Another fun way for me to raise my awareness, which is very simple, is something. I'll grab a pen oftentimes because I love pens, and I will just look at the way the light bounces off the pen. Really look at it. Watch it as it moves. It bounces different off this sticker than this plastic part, or even your nail, you know. Sorry, my nails are still indigo. You can watch the way the light moves on the nail and the skin. Really ground down, hone into one of the senses. My favorite being sight. You can also do it with your hearing. Hum of the motorcycle. The wind in the trees. I hear the hum of the air conditioner somewhere, which maybe the camera's not picking up. But you can keep kind of fractaling into any of your senses. That's another favorite way of mine to cultivate awareness. Flow states also cultivate awareness. So the last contemplation I will leave you all with as we wrap up this Shadow of Intolerance is, what is your favorite way to cultivate awareness? Whether that's sitting in meditation, grounding into a sense, or entering a flow state. Because yes, as Richard Rudd has eloquently painted many times, the best way to escape a shadow is to enter into the paradigm of awareness. Join me tomorrow to talk about the gift of understanding. And hopefully that wasp's nest is gone and I can sit in my favorite spot. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. all of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now, and I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience, the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to your people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.